Hello viewers and welcome back to another edition of Spartan Showcase. I am your host, Andy Kuros, and I welcome back Principal Rubin to the show.
Thanks, Andy.
So UHS recently hosted a very large health fair. So how did this event go?
Oh, it was great. Really proud of the work that both Ms. Ahern and Ms. Dwyer did in organizing it, along with Tim McCrowan and Jess Caffarelli, who were really the two students who were perhaps most instrumental. I thought the students got a lot out of it. More importantly, I think for us, anytime you're building relationships with people in the community that's practical and authentic for kids, it's a good opportunity for us to show that learning happens beyond the walls of a classroom. And we have so many people in town that are able to help educate kids. So overall, it was great. The day I thought, flowed very smoothly. There was just enough time, I think, for kids to experience quite a bit of the health and wellness fair. And I think for our sake, there's some things we could do differently next time, things we could do better, and certainly strive to have events like that in the future. I
do know that as a student who went, we really liked how it was interactive. There was a lot of things to do. So would you look towards having it again next year?
I think it's one of those things you do every other year. It's a huge undertaking, and every time, if you wait next year, 3 of the 4 grades have just experienced it. So you wait a couple of years, your current freshmen and sophomores are juniors and seniors, and their interests may shift. And then you have the current 7th and 8th graders are in as 9th and 10th graders at that point. And so you have half the building that hasn't experienced anything, and the other half would be dealing with things perhaps through a different light. I mean, what you're focused on when you're a junior and senior in terms of your health maybe doesn't change a whole lot from 9th to 10th grade, but there are certainly some things that are just different at different grade levels.
And another noteworthy thing happening at the high school was the creation of the Best Buddies program. So can you explain to the viewers what this organization is all about?
Yeah, Best Buddies it's an organization that partners regular education students with students who may have intellectual or social disabilities, and provides them some opportunities to get out and interact more in the mainstream, or have opportunities to build friendships that ordinarily aren't often cultivated through the regular academic setting. So Mr. Catalano and Ms. Lesperance have really taken it by the horns. They have done such a great job, and you talk to both of them, they'll say that, well, it's the kids. And our chapter president is Morgan McCarty, but there are a whole host of students who really seized, I think, the opportunity to grow this new organization. They're playing unified basketball. We have 30, 40 students involved, which for a school our size is really, really special. And I think that's a testament to the kids themselves and the work of the advisors. And I think it's nice to see some kids who ordinarily wouldn't have a club or an activity or an extracurricular to participate in, actually getting out there and being involved.
And I thought it was nice that we hosted
yeah, I think it was a little bit the day of the week it gets tough sometimes. We hosted it on Saturday, so and the music students were all away, so it was a little harder to get a big crowd. But we had a nice little crowd. There were a lot of parents here. It was great to host Bartlett after having gone there for a day. Their advisor and Mr. Catalano, I think, worked awfully hard to make something that was fun, and I got to be here for a little bit, and it's just great for me to see, as I said, kids who don't ordinarily participate in a lot of the extracurricular program getting that opportunity.
And as you know firsthand, May is a very eventful month for both administration and seniors.
You found a half hour to talk to me in here, though.
Yeah,
Andy.
that is true.
That's half the battle.
That is true. So can you speak about the upcoming events for the 12th graders?
I'll miss something.
Yeah.
But the month starts on May 1st with National Honor Society induction, goes straight through these couple of weeks with AP tests and SATs, the prom, and before long we're talking about senior exams and getting ready for senior week. That last week of May into that first weekend in June is, I joke with people, if it's in my calendar, I'll be there, but I'm not necessarily sure where I'm going on any given day. Just make sure I have everything I'm supposed to say written down and everything organized. It's a busy month. There are a lot of things that are busy just for families, like our scholarship and awards night and promenade and the prom itself, and obviously graduation. But before those things happen, there are hours and hours of preparation and rehearsal and practice and making sure that every little detail is ironed out. Now, I'm fortunate that the folks in the office, Ms. Durkin, Ms. Robertson, and Mrs. Wise, put so much care into making sure that all of the details are lined up. So literally when I get there and I'm reading names off of certificates, it's all there. But in the weeks that lead up to it, it is very busy. And, for some kids, there's the other side of it. The fact that, after 12, 13 years of school in Uxbridge, the end is drawing close. It's kind of a watershed and bittersweet moment for some kids. For others, it's much more sweet than bitter. But there's also some difficult times, I think, ahead for kids that don't necessarily have all of their credits in line. And, there's always those certain difficult conversations. Fortunately, we feel pretty good about most of this class graduating this year, but it still causes some tension with staff and students when you get to the end and you're so close and there's just that one or two more assignments, and some students like yourself are pretty much done, and it's just a matter of showing up and not burning the place down, and you're going to get across that stage. But there are others who I think are close to the wire, and it's challenging, and you don't want to discount that tension that comes up in this month either.
True. And this is your second year here, but you've already added to the the graduation week. So you added the new service distinction and also the parade that happened. So can you explain those two things?
Yeah, well, service distinction is something that I had some experience with, and a lot of schools have community service requirements. And my feeling about the word requirement is it's not really a service when you're required to do it. So I think it's a nice thing to recognize any student who's done lots of community service. And this senior class has thousands of hours of community service. And I have students filling out the log, and these are students who maybe aren't going to be recognized for anything else. I mean, maybe they're just average students, but they're involved with their churches, and there's scouting, and there's student council, and there's National Honor Society, and there's all these school-related events, and there's kids that are volunteering at hospitals. And we want to be able to say, what, good for you for giving back to this community. Good for you for being a good citizen and giving of yourself, your time and energy. And that's what service distinction is. If students meet a minimum requirement of community service hours, they're recognized at graduation. We put a little star next to their name in the program. They get to wear a special cord at graduation, and it's open to all kids. I mean, there are some things that are just prohibitive. Not every kid is going to make National Honor Society. Not every kid is going to graduate on the honor roll, but everybody can do service, and anybody can do service. And then the other part, the parade, I was a little surprised at how quickly that took off last year. I'd seen a couple of things online that had gone viral of graduates putting on their caps and gowns and walking through the old schools that they had attended. In this district, last year's class, it was kind of odd. They walked through McCluskey. They were the only class in the history of the town since 1930s that never set foot in that building, because they went right from Whiten to here. And even your grade, Andy, only 1 year there. So it's a little, it's unique for a couple of years. That the three other campuses are a little bit different, but we start the day with actually baccalaureate rehearsal in the morning, and then head up the street and we parade through in alphabetical order, just like it's graduation, through the halls of McCluskey, and then across the Taft, and then down the street to Whiten. And that's as much for the kids, for the students, the graduating seniors, I shouldn't say kids, the young men and women, to go back and see like that second grade teacher, to walk past younger siblings was really kind of emotional last year. And you even see some parents in there, and it's a really nice moment, I think, for our community. I couldn't have imagined it going any better, and I think everybody's kind of excited about it for this year.
Excited, yeah.
I think there's it's an emotional day. It takes a lot out of all of us. I'm not going to lie, and I don't have the history that some of you have with the teachers and your neighbors, and even walking down the street is you used to ride a bus down the street, and it all kind of comes back. And kids, the students, the young men and women who are about to graduate, they will reflect on that and be glad that they had that opportunity.
And another big thing is the iPad checks and hand-ins. So
Oh yeah. Just make sure. I just want to make sure everybody hands them in. There's that moment. For those of you out there watching who are wondering, well, what happens with obligations, and seniors who haven't handed things in, if they're still missing something, money to the cafeteria or a book they haven't handed in or the iPad, they show up to that graduation rehearsal on the Tuesday or Wednesday of senior week, and there's no gown on their chair, and they're wondering, well, where's my gown? Well, you'll get your gown when you hand in the iPad. You'll get your gown when you hand in or pay for it, or when you hand in your books. So please, seniors, if you're watching this, take care of your obligations.
So you did mention a parade and kind of UHS partnering with the other schools. And just recently we had the elementary kids come up and take part in the International Fair. So like, how was that event?
Other than making me realize I'll never be an elementary school teacher, I'll tell you all the credit. The second grade teachers who were here last week and again this week, I don't know where they get their energy. I think if I spent 6.5 hours with a class of second graders, I'd go home and nap every day. And I'm sure they say the same thing about working with 15 through 18-year-olds. You know, the International Fair is a long-standing tradition at Taft. I love that our teacher, Ms. Devasion, works with the Taft teachers to bring the kids up and work with our students on, you know, baking cookies and treats from around the globe. You know, I learned today that snickerdoodles come from Switzerland, so I did not know that. But I think it's a great opportunity for us to not only showcase how talented our kids and our staff are, because they really are, but it's an opportunity for the little kids to see this is what your future holds. You're going to be the big kid someday that some first or second graders aspiring to be, and I think that's something really special.
And would you be in favor of more events that combines multiple schools in the district?
Oh, it's great when we have them. I mean, we have math days coming up down at Whiten, and I know Mrs. Pryor's bringing a whole bunch of students down. I know that we've had opportunities where, you know, the government students or the you know, the culinary students have gone, the child development classes have gone. You know, the challenge is always how do you manage the time away from your own building and your own responsibilities. And that's admittedly a challenge that I think we're all facing right now. Anytime students spend time away, whether it's for a student council trip or it's for an honor bowl or a tennis tournament, you're missing time away from school. But these experiences are so valuable that we want to make sure there's some balance. So provided it's not too intrusive for the other schools and too exclusive for our students, they're a great opportunity.
And do you have an update from the school council?
Busy last month for school council as well. I mean, the next few weeks, and I don't want to tip our hand too much, the student handbook's going to be completely redesigned, and you've seen it as a member of the school council. It just looks different. I think it flows better. I think it's going to be a document that is just more user-friendly, and that's something that I think we took on, and certainly the handbook committee and the staff members and the students, parents who are involved in that. So there are some subtle changes. I think we have to take a look at our school improvement plan and make sure that we are always focused forward. And one of the things I'm excited about doing in the next month is actually partnering our school council with the middle school council and having a meeting together and seeing, okay, where is it that we're all in alignment? Because ultimately, as Mr. Connie sometimes likes to say, we really want to keep augmenting and protecting the transcript. And we want to make sure that when students graduate from Uxbridge, as you will in a few weeks, that they come from a town and a school district and an entire experience in which that transcript says you have a lot of skills and you're ready to do anything. And I know you don't have any other questions, so I'm going to say thank you to you.
Yeah.
You've been an invaluable resource for us this year. You've done a great job with this, and I thank you and the folks at Uxbridge Cable for giving us this venue to, I mean, I say every opportunity is an opportunity for me to share the message, but I said over and over this year we couldn't have done it without you, so I really do appreciate it. And when you're an anchor somewhere, give us a shout out.
Oh, definitely. That means a lot, so thank you. So that's all for today's show, and actually the series, I guess, for this year's Spartan Showcase, and we'll see you next time.